Hello, everybody, far and wide, and welcome to this forum that looks back in time. Courtesy of Casa D18 Studios, we hope you enjoy what's being called Throwback Thursday. Over the coming weeks, months, and hopefully years to come, we hope that you will enjoy us opening the vaults and archives to look back at some of the most unique content across all of our platforms, whether it's Casa D18 Studios, the Jeff Meacham Network, NoDQ.com, my Sybil YouTube channel, The Sybil Man's Brand, and of course, FTW Productions, hosted by James Hebert at jhebertside95. It basically is just going to offer you a ton of classic content. So with that being said, buckle up, have fun, take a seat, just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling and enjoy what this Throwback Thursday has in store for you. And again, I hope that you stay tuned for many more that hopefully will come too.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from NoDQ.com.
Welcome, everyone, to episode number 3 of Talk Wrestling here on wherever you're watching this, NoDQ.com, MySpace.com, YouTube.com. We are a hit. I said this on the last show. I'm very thankful to all of you who are watching the show, and very thankful to those of you that have left comments on my comment board and questions in my inbox and questions to Aaron at NoDQ.com, and it's been a tremendous thrill for me to have the show be this much of a hit. We're doing better than Aaron's Cat Diaries, which is a little funny for me. No, I'm just kidding. I love the Cat Diaries. It's fun stuff. I wish that I could do this more often, but once a week is all I can get out of myself, unfortunately. Before I get started on the show today, I have a request for all you guys out there, for all you guys and gals. One question per show. I had 150 emails this week, and most of them had 2, 3, 4, even 5 questions. I can't answer that many questions. It's only a 22-minute show, 23-minute show, somewhere in that area. So, for the love of God, please send me one question per show. After you see your question on the show, send me another one. Don't send me 2 or 3 or 4. I've got several people that have 2, 3, 4 questions on here. I'm not going to be able to answer them all. So, I apologize if I can't get to your questions. And a lot of people send in the same question. You guys all know that a lot of you are going to be asking, for example, is Chris Jericho going to return to wrestling? That's been the big question for me this week. Is Chris Jericho coming back? Is he going to TNA? Is he going to WWE? I don't know. The only person that knows that answer is Chris Jericho. You have to email Chris Jericho at chrisjericho.com. That's the best thing I can tell you to do, is to email Chris Jericho himself, because only he knows when he's coming back. The rumor is that his passion for wrestling is starting to return inside him, and he may be coming back. If he comes back, he'll probably go to WWE. That's where he's had his most success. That's where he was undisputed champion for a while. I think he'll be a great WWE superstar again. So if he does come back, he'll be with WWE. All right, let's get to your questions. This is from Julian. Do you think that the WWE should get rid of the follow-up pay-per-views like Backlash, which had the same main event as the one before, and just stick to making the primary ones better? Do you think this would benefit the fans? Great question, Julian. Yes. I think that WWE should get rid of all the pay-per-views except for Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. That's it. 4 pay-per-views a year. They probably make more money on the pay-per-views. Yes, they generate a lot of revenue for pay-per-views every month, but people are sick and tired of shelling out $40 a month and $50 for WrestleMania for pay-per-views that seem like 3-hour television shows. That's what they are. They're 3-hour versions of Raw and SmackDown, because you see the same people doing the same things month after month after month. How many times did we see Lashley versus the McMahons this year? Backlash, Judgment Day, and One Night Stand. It's ridiculous. And how many times do you see Undertaker versus Batista on pay-per-view? Undertaker versus Edge versus Batista on pay-per-view? Or Edge versus anybody on pay-per-view? And Edge, God bless him, I hope he gets better soon. That torn pec is a bitch. I've had a friend that tore his pec not too long ago, actually, and he's recovering right now. And it's a brutal injury. It's terrible. But I think that the fall pay-per-views are a waste. I think the WWE could better benefit the fans by marketing the pay-per-views, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam, not in that order. But, like the build like they used to have. The build between WrestleMania and SummerSlam was always huge. Between SummerSlam and Survivor Series was huge. And between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble was always big. They were always good builds. And I think they could do that again. And I think that TNA would be better off doing, pay-per-views once every few months as well. Let the things build. These monthly pay-per-views are just wearing the storylines and the fans out. Alright, this one comes from the Token Redneck. In your opinion, who has the better tag teams, Raw, SmackDown, or TNA? Have you watched the programs lately? TNA has the best tag teams. They've got Team 3D, they got the Voodoo Kin Mafia, they got Triple X, they have Serotonin, they've got Team 3D, Serotonin, Voodoo Kin Mafia, Team 3D, LAX, Serotonin. They've got the better tag teams, in my opinion. Raw has Caden Murdoch and London and Kendrick. The world's greatest tag team. Who else do they have? Let's see. I've got it written down here somewhere. Crime Time, the Highlanders. Those are all great teams on Raw, don't get me wrong, but they're not being used properly. They're not being given the time they need. So I think the TNA has the better tag teams that are being used. But I think that if they were pushed properly, Raw could have the best tag teams. SmackDown has Deuce and Domino. That's it. They have makeshift tag teams like Regal and Taylor, who are now broken apart because of Regal going to Raw, and they don't really have any challengers on for. They have that new team, Festus and whatever his name is, coming in. That's going to be a stupid gimmick. I hope they don't go very far with that. but they're coming to SmackDown. Maybe they can challenge Juice and Domino. Should there be ECW tag belts? No, ECW has no tag teams. I forgot the Steiner brothers in TNA. They're a great team too. If Scott ever gets healthy, God bless Scott Steiner for trying to be healthy. But should there be ECW tag belts? No, because ECW has no tag teams. The one tag team they did have was the FBI, and I believe not Nunzio, but the other guy, Tony Mamaluke, has been released. And Trinity's not there anymore either, so there's no FBI. No ECW tag belts whatsoever. The best tag teams, TNA. All right, this one is from Big Sexy. Who would win between Hulk Hogan in his prime and Bret Hart in his prime? Did we have a question like this last week, Aaron? We had Randy Orton versus Samoa Joe in a Falls Count Anywhere match. What do you guys want these dream matches for? Let the past be, but I'll answer it. It's okay, I'll answer it. Hogan in his prime was about 1987 versus Bret Hart in about 1991, 1992. I think if you match up those two personalities, those two wrestlers, I think that Bret Hart would overcome Hogan. And this is shocking for me to say because I'm the biggest Hogan mark there is. There's no doubt about that. But I got to be honest. I think Bret Hart's technical skill would overcome the brawn of Hulk Hogan. I think that Bret Hart would get. It wouldn't be a sharpshooter type victory. It'd be like when Bret Hart beat Diesel back in '95. It'd be Hogan would get cocky and pick him up for a power slam or something. Bret Hart would roll him up 1, 2, 3. I think that his technical prowess would overcome the Hulkster by far. They're both great athletes. They're both tremendous performers. They both got a lot of charisma. I think the fans would be divided, but I think that the Hogan marks would, Hulkamaniacs would try to rally Hogan to victory as much as possible, but I think in the end Bret Hart would overcome it all. This is from our old buddy Greg Cherry, former XMV and Ringside Insanity fan. Greg, thank you for your questions as always. We appreciate it. I'm going to answer one of them because the Great American Bash, we all know it sucked, and yeah, so I'm not going to address that one. I didn't see it, but I'm not going to address it. Do you ever see Christopher Daniels getting the main event push, or do you see him sticking with Triple X, who I thought wasn't supposed to be together again after the AMW versus Triple X match back in 2004? Funny you asked that question, because Aaron and Mike and I were there for the America's Most Wanted versus Triple X match back in 2004 at Turning Point when Harrison Storm defeated, at the time it was Daniels and Skipper because Low-Key wasn't there. I think that Daniels is going to stick with Triple X for a while. He's going to go after the X Division Championship. And Triple X is going to help win the title back. I think that whatever happens with this Joe versus Angle thing is going to be resolved at Hard Justice, and Daniels will get his shot at the X Division Championship, rightfully so, in my opinion. And, excuse me, I apologize. And yeah, Triple X shouldn't be teaming together, but you know what? I think it was that the team of Daniels and Skipper wasn't supposed to team together. I think the three of them are allowed to be together. I think they found a loophole, like the Freebird loophole that they always used back in the day. I think the three of them are allowed to team together, there's not the two of them. So, and as long as Daniels and Skipper don't team as a regular tag team, I think they can get away with it. I hope they do. I love Chris Daniels, I love Elix Skipper, and I love Senshi now. He's not Low-Key anymore, he's Senshi in TNA. I always been thinking of him as Low-Key. I think Daniels will stick with them for the immediate future, and he'll go after the X Division Championship. But once he wins the X Division title, he may stick with Triple X for a couple more months, and then he'll break away and hopefully win the world title. All right, this is one of the ones that came in from our buddy Jeffrey, who sent in some questions last show. Jeffrey, thank you for all your questions, but please, one at a time. You're killing me. I think he sent in a total of about 7 or 8 questions this week. I had to edit some of them out. I didn't include them all on the list. One of the questions I'm going to ask from him is, do you think it's good that AJ Styles is a heel? As long as he is one, I doubt he'll win championships for a while he's a heel. However, I think it's a good thing because he's won so many championships in TNA. He's won 13 championships in TNA, according to Jeffrey. I think it's good for AJ to have a new dynamic in his career. We've all gotten used to AJ being a babyface, but he's a great heel. He's a great swarmy heel. He's a great crybaby heel. He's good as part of Christian's coalition, so to speak. I think it's working for him. I think I agree with you where it's working for him, but he won't be a champion as long as he's part of the coalition. He may be X Division champion again if they had. Be a great feud would be Daniels and AJ again over the X Division championship. If Daniels sticks with Triple X and AJ sticks with the coalition, it'd be a good 6-man battle. Christian, Tomko, and AJ against Triple X. I think that'd be a great feud, but I don't think AJ is going to be a champion for a while as long as he's a heel. It's good for TNA and it's good for him right now because he's much better off being the crybaby, the little sneaky heel. Just my opinion. All right, this one is from Jason LS. I watched part of your first show and your second. I'm a big wrestling fan, and one of my favorite wrestlers is Raven. My question is, what is your take on Raven, from his days as Johnny Polo to what he has become now, and what are they planning with Serotonin? Personally, I don't get it. I don't think that him and Kaz are building to the hype they want. Do you think that Serotonin was a good idea, or do you think a New Age flock would be better, a more hardcore group than this demonic one? Very long, involved question, but thank you for the question, Jason. I've always been a big fan of Raven. I like his work in TNA. I like his work in WCW. I especially like his work in ECW. His feud with the Sandman and his feud with Tommy Dreamer was some of the best stuff I've ever seen, through the use of videotape, thanks to Aaron and Mike. I didn't get to see the original ECW back in its prime, but I did get to see the use of videotape and the rise and fall of ECW, some of their work. I think Kazarian, our good buddy Frankie Kazarian, breaking away from Serotonin is a good idea, but I think you're right. I don't think the feud is building to the hype they want. I think it's going to fizzle out very quickly. Kazarian belongs in the X Division. That's where he shines. That's where he is a superstar. And he should be X Division champion before too long, much like Christopher Daniels. I think that they need to break away the Serotonin and have them be X Division guys like they used to be. Martyr and Havoc used to be great X Division wrestlers. I can't remember who they are now. Matt Bentley is one of them. I don't know who the other one is. Austin Starr, I believe. I don't really know. But I know that they belong in the X Division. Raven, I think, may be running out of time as far as what they're going to do with him after Serotonin. Raven is a great wrestler. He's a great ring psychologist. Matter of fact, there's a question on here later about who has the best ring psychology, in my opinion, from Alexander, AW90, I guess is his name. Raven had the best ring psychology of anybody I've ever seen. He knew how to captivate an audience through that television set and through his promos, much like Jake the Snake Roberts did back in his heyday. Those two guys were the best ring psychologists I ever saw in my entire life. But I think Raven's now coming to the twilight of his career. He's getting older. He's not being used right in TNA, and I think it's time for him to hang it up, just my opinion. All right, this one's from, I guess, Looney, L-U-N, exclamation point E. Is that how you say it? Let me know how to say it on the next show, okay? He's got a long question. He's got a little essay here about the WWE and their tag team divisions. So I'm just going to address it really quick. The WWE tag team division is not so good. I mentioned this earlier in the show about TNA having the better tag teams. And that's not necessarily the case, only because Raw has a lot of good tag teams, like Crime Time, the Highlanders, London and Kendrick, the world's greatest tag team, Cade and Murdoch. But they're not being pushed properly. And the feud has been Cade and Murdoch against the Hardys. That's been the feud. The Hardys aren't even a regular team anymore. One guy's on Raw, one guy's on SmackDown. And recently they had the tag team champions be John Cena and Shawn Michaels. Why would you do that? Why would you have Shawn Michaels and John Cena be the champions? They were feuding. That was stupid. Stupid. And on SmackDown they have Deuce and Domino. That's it. That's the only tag team they have on SmackDown. They have that new team, Festus and whatever his name is, coming in to help bolster their tag team division. But they suck. Deuce and Domino are a one-hit wonder. I think their act is going to wear out very, very quickly. And I think that the SmackDown division is absolutely dreadful. And there is no tag team division in ECW. There's no tag team titles in ECW, and rightfully so, because they have no teams. I think TNA is outshining the WWE tag team division by far. I'm not a fan of singles wrestlers being tag team or tag team champions either. You mentioned that in your question. Thank you. And Regal and Taylor were a great team on SmackDown. They broke them up because Regal went back to Raw. Why would you do that? Why would you have Regal and Taylor split up? They had such potential. Regal is, as long as he's been in wrestling, he's still got a lot left in him to give. And he was a great tag team wrestler. I don't think he's going to be a good single star. I think that, he may be, a good Intercontinental Champion again, or a good, but he won't be a world champion. It won't happen for Regal. I'm sorry, but it won't. And, he could have made a good U.S. champion on SmackDown if he wanted to split the team. I believe them both on SmackDown and have a team every once in a while. WWE's tag team division is in very, very serious trouble, and I think that they need to revamp it really quickly or just get rid of the tag team divisions altogether. This one's from Joey LaSquigs. I'm a huge Sting fan. I think he's too good for TNA. I realize he is most likely going to have to retire soon, but I think he has a few more amazing main event matches left in him. Do you agree that he should go to WWE before retiring, get in the Hall of Fame, and possibly get into a main event feud with The Undertaker, Triple H, or John Cena? I will tell you this right now. If WWE stays in the direction they are right now, you will never see Sting in WWE. Sting has been very outspoken against WWE in their direction. He feels they're too adult. He feels they're too much. And I don't think that Sting will fit in WWE whatsoever. I think that once he retires, he may get inducted into the Hall of Fame, much like Dusty Rhodes, who never really had a success in WWE, but he did work for them at one point. But there's guys like, The Sheik, who never wrestled for WWE. There are guys that have never wrestled for WWE that will get inducted into the Hall of Fame because they deserve it, and because WCW is part of WWE now. I think guys like Sting will get inducted to the Hall of Fame someday, but it won't be for a long, long time. All right, there's a lot of general questions that a lot of you have asked. I'm going to go over some of those right now. The first one being the resurrection of the Hardcore Championship in ECW. That's not going to happen. I wish it would. I wish ECW had another title to go after, and it'd be great if we saw more hardcore matches, Extreme Rules matches in ECW like the old days. But it's not going to happen. I don't think Vince McMahon wants to see those kind of matches anymore. I think that Vince has reshaped ECW in his own image, and he's going to keep it that way because he's happy. I don't know why he's happy. The ratings are terrible. Impact's almost beating them in the ratings. I think Vince should be happy with that. Just my opinion. King Booker becoming Booker T again. That's a really good question. And as a matter of fact, it's going to be addressed, I think, this coming Monday on Raw. I think that Lawler and Booker are going to fight for the right to wear the crown. And if Booker loses, I think he'll go back to being Booker T. I think Booker T will be better off without the King Booker moniker. I think the whole King Booker thing is run its course. I think Booker T will be better off as just a heel Booker T. And I think that he'll be a great contender to the WWE Championship once he gets past being King Booker. My opinion on Randy Orton getting the title shot instead of Mr. Kennedy. I think that's the right thing to do right now. Mr. Kennedy is great. I praised Mr. Kennedy very much in the last episode. I got called out for it, as a matter of fact. I was told to get off Mr. Kennedy's nuts, and I'm going to get off Mr. Kennedy's nuts for a little while right now. Randy Orton's the best guy for number one contender spot. They had a great match at the house show I went to on Saturday last week between Orton and Cena. It was a great match. Ricky Steamboat was the guest referee, which was fun. That's a big old bug on the table. Big old wasp or something was just on the table. That was scary. Anyway, I think Randy Orton will be a great number one contender. I think it'll be I think it'll even be good if he wins the title from Cena. I really do. I think it'll be cool to see Cena chase Orton for the championship, going into Unforgiven and No Mercy even. And hopefully that'll be a good feud. The Cruiserweight division and the underutilization of it. You need to look no further than the current Cruiserweight champion to see how underutilized that division is. The current Cruiserweight champion is a midget. It's Hornswoggle. Give me a break. Hornswoggle is a midget wrestler who's holding a adult male championship. A full-size championship. Why? I don't get this. They've got Chavo. They've got Jimmy Wang Yang. They've got Helms when he's healthy again. They've got, London and Kendrick they can bring back to SmackDown. They've got so many cruiserweights in that company. They got Shannon Moore, and they can't ever seem to get this division right. It sucks. It's terrible. I think they should get rid of that championship, too. I think there should be a world championship, a singles championship, and a tag team championship on each show. The women's championship is going to be useless after a while because Candice is not a full-time wrestler, let's be honest. She's improved very much, but I don't think it's going to last. And the cruiserweight division is absolutely dreadful. Give me a break. Shawn Michaels and Triple H returning. DX reforming. Triple H is coming back at SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels is coming back when he wants to. I don't think they're going to put DX back together. I think Triple H is going to come back as the Game, the King of Kings. They've pushed for that. And I think Shawn Michaels is going to come back on his own and probably have his last run when he does come back. Thank you for asking those same questions. I was glad to address them all. And don't ask them again, please. I beg of you. This one's from Big Sal. What is your opinion on the WWE considering buying AAA, they're based out of Mexico, for those of you who don't know what AAA is. They're a great organization. I think it'd be a shame if WWE bought them only because WWE would, turn them into another ECW and shape them into their own image. And, Mexican wrestling doesn't need a WWE governing. The Mexican wrestling is doing just fine on its own. They're on their own. They're happy. And hopefully they're not losing enough money where WWE can come in and just swoop in and buy them, because WWE governing any part of Mexican wrestling is a big mistake. WWE can tour Mexico all they want. That's fine. Let them run the big cities. Let them run, the major areas of Mexico. But let AAA and EMLL and all those other guys stick where they are. I think it's a bad idea if WWE buys them, for sure. Thank you all very much for your questions this week. We'll get to some more of them next week. I've got a lot of questions here. I've still got a ton to address. Like I said, I had 150 emails this week or something like that over the last week. It's been phenomenal, to quote AJ Styles. It's been great. But I'll get to more questions later. MySpace.com/Jeff Meacham. That's where you can email me. You can also email me at jdmeach1@yahoo.com. You can also email Aaron at NoDQ.com. That's not the actual email address. It's tw@NoDQ.com, I believe. Yes. And you can find us on NoDQ.com, on YouTube, on Aaron's MySpace, on my MySpace. And just keep looking for us. We'll be out there. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third episode of A Hardy Conversation. I am Sean Hardy.
And I am Chris Hardy.
And for all you at home that think that this is a John Cena reference, do your homework. This is a reference to the Dudley Boys, the winningest tag team in wrestling history. Okay? This does not mean attitude adjustment.
Oh, my brother, testify.
So, anyways, back on to the world of wrestling. We had, for all intents and purposes, an uneventful week in the world of wrestling, with the exception of Raw, which we'll get to in just a few moments. SmackDown was just kind of bland. All there really was a CM Punk, feud between Edge and Jeff. Apparently all three of them are now going for the world title, hunting Punk down. Impact saw the in-ring debut of Tara, a.k.a. Victoria. Guess they're going to go off of the whole Tara Rising gimmick that Triple H kind of used back in the day. Because on Victoria's MySpace page, she ended her most recent blog by saying Tara is rising. So they're probably going to play off of that very bad pun in TNA because they're known for bad puns.
True.
King of the Mountain match for the next pay-per-view looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. You got AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, and Mick Foley, all hunting after Mick Foley's TNA title. And for those of you that don't know, basically the King of the Mountain match is a ladder match in reverse. The winner isn't the man to pull the belt down. It's the first person to hang the belt. I know. It sounds ridiculous, but TNA needed to do something a little bit different.
True.
Break away from your average ladder matches.
It's damn true.
Okay, I thought we were getting away from the bad puns, Chris.
True.
Superstars was decent. Nothing tremendous there. John Morrison versus Chris Jericho. By and far match of the night.
Yep.
Which brings us to Raw. And I'm going to go ahead and tag into you, Chris. You can start talking about Raw.
Alright, Monday Night Raw, we had Vince McMahon coming in with a huge announcement.
Huge, mind-blowing.
Exactly. Earth-shattering.
Changed the face of WWE
forever.
Ever!
And we had...
And what was the announcement, Chris?
That Donald Trump now owns Raw because Vince sold it to him. So now Donald Trump now owns Raw.
And I read that stocks plummeted this morning after the news of Donald Trump owning Raw. Like, the WWE stockholders are not behind this storyline
So
at all.
Depending on how long it goes, I say it might go to either SummerSlam or Survivor Series. Like I have Vince team versus Trump team. All the heels for Vince, all the faces for Trump, or vice versa, whichever you want to do it.
I think in this case the heels would have to be on Trump's side because this is Vince's company. It's been Vince's company since the late 70s, early 80s when he bought it off of his father. Vince would have to be the babyface in this scenario to take his company back from the tyranny of the Donald.
And then we have Christian going as Tommy Dreamer. Tommy retained his ECW championship. We have Jeff versus Edge versus CM Punk for the world title. Punk retained, but we did learn that it will be Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship at The Bash, not the Great American Bash, for those WCW fans out there. And we have a new WWE champion in Randy Orton.
The man who honestly should not have lost the belt to begin with. Losing it to Batista was a bad idea to begin with. Plus Batista got injured in the match, and they still had him drop the belt to him.
Yeah.
It made absolutely no sense. The script writers figured that out, so now they've got Randy with the belt again, and more than likely, let's be honest, he's going to dump it in 2 weeks to Triple H for his 13th title run.
Yeah, and it's Randy Orton versus Triple H in the last man standing match next Raw for Randy Orton versus Triple H part 50. It's going to be awesome. No.
Yeah.
So we're good on that. Now for couple questions from you wrestling fans out in the WWE universe.
You go ahead and take that one, Chris.
All right. This is from Kryptonite Guy. I think CM Punk should have. He has really bad handwriting. Walked, or what did it say?
You illiterate, Chris?
No, I can't read his
I think
handwriting.
CM Punk should have waited. I thought what he did to Jeff was too mean. I think CM should have waited to cash in, maybe at the next pay-per-view. What do you think? My idea is that it should be a ladder match between Punk and Hardy.
Well, since we've already had a ladder match, it's probably null and void. That too many ladder matches, people will get sick and tired of it. But I do agree with you that Punk should have waited. Well, my tirade last week about CM Punk, I'm not even going to go into that. But I still dislike CM Punk for what he did to Jeff Hardy, but I do believe that Jeff will develop back from either Edge or CM Punk at the Bash or at SummerSlam, which the Hardy guys will be at. So, hope to see you there.
Personally, I think what CM Punk did was okay. All he did, like I said in the last episode, was take advantage of an opportunity that was presented to him. Kryptonite Guy, you would have done it if you were in that situation. I would have done it. Chris would have done it.
I guess, yes.
He can shake his head, but anybody would have taken that same opportunity and done the same thing. Do I think it was mean? You only really think it's mean because Punk cashed it in against a babyface instead of cashing it in against a heel.
You were really doing it against Batista and Jeff Hardy.
Thank you. or Randy Orton. I honestly would have liked to have seen Punk cash in against Orton, as huge of a Orton fan as I am, because then Punk would have been WWE World and ECW champion and be only the second person next to the Big Show to have accomplished that. That's the way I thought it should have went.
Yeah. Second question.
Second question was taken off of MySpace by Super Mario I Love Scarlet Pain. Do you think that RVD and Sabu will return to WWE? And I hear X-Pac is returning because he's going to rehab. Do I think RVD and Sabu are going to return? No. I have nothing against them. Sabu, his best days are behind him, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. His body is too scarred and beaten up, and you can see the high definition of his scars in HD. I think that's going to scare away the younger viewers that WWE is trying to re-attract by going TVG, basically. RVD, I would like to see come back. I think he could do some good things. Last month's WWE Magazine had a Fantasy Warfare match, RVD versus Evan Bourne. I would love to see that match. I would love to see RVD versus Tyson Kidd. Awesome match. But RVD is quite content being home, taking care of his wife, and just doing sporadic shows in the area when he gets the urge to get in front of fans again.
In Detroit, Michigan.
And as far as X-Pac is concerned,
Yeah.
I don't think that just because he's in rehab, he's going to be coming back. The only reason he's in rehab right now, and there's talk about maybe bringing him back, is because of his Click connection with Shawn and Triple H. Other than that, I don't see what X-Pac could bring to the table as far as a WWE return right now. He has no back heritage to put him into Legacy. He's not a Hart to throw him in the Hart Dynasty. DX is buried again, hopefully for a little while. It's one thing to dust him off for an occasional teaming up, but to do a long storyline like they did a couple years back, it doesn't work anymore. Especially now with the kid-friendly attitude that WWE is trying to go with. Guys, telling people to suck it and doing crotch chops don't exactly work with that kid-friendly mentality.
Yeah.
Plus, Shawn being religious, the skits weren't as funny as they were 10 years ago.
So, a couple things to talk to you about. First of all, one of our roommates and longtime friends, LB Kid, brought something to us about autograph sessions. Do you like them? Do you hate them? What would you like to see changed about them? So my info on this is basically You know, have people get whatever they want to sign. Have them there on time, unlike WWE, because they're always at least 20 minutes late. Get at least 2 autographs, maybe more. They'll just throw, here, sign. And get at least 1 picture around them so you can walk around them, get a picture instead of doing the whole lean-in pose that people love to do, and go from there. What are your thoughts on it?
Honestly, there's a lot of issues that I have with autograph signings. Number one, if you're only going to allow a certain amount of people to get autographs, cut the line after that number. Don't allow people to get in line thinking they're still going to get autographs, only for them to be like 5 people away from the talent and then the talent leave. That's number one. Number two, don't allow people to cut in line with other people. You guys are bringing talent there. You know how fanatic fans can be. Make sure you've got the right security there to not allow people to try and cut in with their friends. It's one thing if they hold a spot for somebody while they go to grab something to eat or go to the bathroom or whatever. It's another thing for people to be in line for 3 hours, and then 10 minutes before the signing comes, a couple of friends are like, hey, can I get in line with you?
Sure,
Yeah,
buddy.
sure, why not? And then everybody behind them in line just got pushed back like 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah.
Number 3, like Chris said with the photos, let us come behind the table or have this talent stand up so that we can get a picture and not do the lean-in pose. Regarding how many things to get signed, I don't know if I agree with you about allowing people to get as many things as possible, but if you're going to only allow 1 item per person, post a sign up that says 1 item per person. That way, during the hours we're in line, because we all line up quite a few hours before the signings.
Sure.
During the hours that we're in line, it gives us an opportunity to figure out what it is that we want to get signed the most. Is it a title belt? Is it a trading card? Is it an action figure, magazine, whatever? A little piece of notebook paper. Whatever it is that we really want to get signed gives us time to figure it out. Don't just tell us, as we're getting ready to walk up to the table, you can only get 1 thing signed.
Yeah.
Another question is talent variety. I get tired of seeing the same people every year at the same locations. This is a little known fact, but I have met Maria every year since the road to WrestleMania 21. Met her in 05, 06, 07, and 08. I have yet to meet her for 09. Yeah, she's hot, she's a diva, she was in Playboy last year. That doesn't mean you gotta trot her around. Give us other people. Something I would like to know, Chris, personal question,
Okay.
and I'll answer it too for all you viewers at home. Aside from Matt and Jeff,
Okay.
obvious since we're the Hardy guys,
Correct.
who has been the WWE superstar that you have most enjoyed meeting, and which superstar would you like to meet that you've never met?
Well, I'd like to meet that I never met would obviously be The Undertaker. Never met him, but he rarely does or has never done autograph sessions. Person besides the Hardy Boys who I really like to meet or enjoy meeting is probably people like John Morrison, Edge and Christian. Even though we don't like him, John Cena, Randy Orton, Hornswoggle's very cool. But
Only needed 1 or 2.
okay, sorry.
Okay. As for me, the one person right now that I really want to meet, it's actually a trio, it's the Hart Dynasty. That is who I really want to meet right now. I think I've met a good majority of the talent pool, whether it was actually in WWE or through independent organizations like PWG. But I think I've met a fair share of the talent pool. The Hart Dynasty right now is who I really would like to meet. As far as a couple of people that I really enjoyed meeting, as much as I hate on Cena, I have to admit, when I did meet him, He was a gentleman. He was really nice. He is always good with his fans. Randy Orton surprised a lot of people by being really nice to his fans. Twice I've met him. He was not rude. Made a crack about your birthday, but you know, you guys are April Fool's babies. It kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, same year, same day with Randy Orton.
I also wanted to discuss a match idea. Last week's show, I proposed an idea for a 6-tag team Elimination Chamber match, and it met with a little bit of criticism on the boards. A couple people thought that there would be too many people involved in that small of an area. They suggested War Games, which I think is too outdated, doesn't have the same type of impact it did back in the 80s when it was first introduced. So my next match idea, and again, people are going to call me crazy, but I would like to see a 6-diva Money in the Bank ladder match. Now let me explain. You have the Divas Championship and the Women's Championship. So right there's 2 belts that the briefcase could be cashed in for, as opposed to 3 world titles that the regular briefcase can be cashed in for.
And they never cashed on ECW anyway.
True. So there's only 2 that really get chased. 2 Divas titles. You would have Beth Phoenix versus Mickie James versus Katie Lee Burchill versus Natalya versus Gail Kim versus Michelle McCool. 4 of those 6 women have either been the Divas Champion or the Women's Champion and are on the hunt to become the first diva in history to hold both titles.
Mickie James for me.
1 of those 4 has even held the TNA Knockouts title, and were she successful, Gail Kim would be the first person to hold all 3 belts in history. Then out of that 6, you have 2 divas, Katie Lee and Natalya, who have never gotten a major push for the belts, are lying in waste on ECW. This would give them an opportunity to win contention and pull a Punk or an Edge and cash in at the right opportunity to gain their first championship.
Sure.
What do you think, Chris?
I like it. It would be very interesting, but I still maybe like 2, 3, maybe 4, but not 6. But tell us how you feel. You know, tell us about everything that happened in wrestling this week. Tell us what you feel about Trump being back in the WWE. Tell us about that question from Sean. Do you like that ladder match idea? Do you like how, you know, the storylines are going? ECW, Superstars, Raw.
Who would you like to see get pushed?
Exactly.
Send us your questions. We will weigh in on anything and everything as we receive your questions. You can get us, as always, on myspace.com/TheHardyGuys. You can get me personally on myspace.com/LBWAHardy.
ChrisHardyPhoto.com, MySpace/ChrisHardyPhoto, YouTube.com/user/TheHardyGuys. Message us at any of those locations. We will get your questions and respond to you in one of our next volumes. See you guys next week when we bring episode 4 of A Hardy Conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3.5 of A Hardy Conversation. I am Sean Hardy, this is Chris Hardy, and we are doing this little half episode to run down the card of TNA Slammiversary this Sunday, Father's Day, on pay-per-view. I guess you could consider this a bit of a Father's Day present to all the dads out there in internet land watching A Hardy Conversation. First matchup of the night is a second chance match between the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, and the franchise, Shane Douglas. I gotta go with the franchise on this one. Either that or it's gonna be a double DQ, double count out. Something funky like that to make them both have a spot on the roster. I think it's going to be Daniels. I think franchise is going to go back to Minnesota and do a manager at Target. You know, that's where he's good at, I've heard. But I think, personally, Daniels will win.
Second match is an intergender tag team Monsters Ball match featuring Raven and Daphne versus Taylor Wilde and Abyss. I gotta go with Raven and Daphne on this one. I think Raven has been in enough of these matches, and Daphne is just crazy. I think they're gonna carry the match, and it's gonna be just awesome.
Yeah. I think Abyss is gonna win. I think that Raven has been way too hard on Abyss. He's been getting, the victories over him. Raven won against Trevor Murdoch on TNA tonight on TNA in a orange clockwork hardcore match, whatever he wants to call it.
Clockwork Orange House of Fun.
Yeah, whatever, hardcore match.
And he beat Jethro Holiday. Trevor Murdoch doesn't exist in TNA.
But whatever, I think Abyss will win. It has to be very bloody, very good.
Third match is for the TNA Knockouts title. Angelina Love is going to defend against Tara, a.k.a. Victoria. Me and Chris agree on this one, hands down. Tara's going to win, become the second person to be WWE Women's Champion and TNA Knockouts Champion.
Yep.
Next match on the card is for the tag titles. Team 3D defending their TNA Tag Team Championships against Beer Money Inc. I think Beer Money is going to get this one. They've been behind a solid push, having won the Team 3D Invitational Tag Team Tournament. So, yeah, look for Beer Money to take this one.
Yeah.
Next match is Steen versus the Blueprint Matt Morgan, where if Matt Morgan wins, he gets a spot in the main event Mafia. I think, I don't think that Matt Morgan is main event Mafia material, really, but I think he made a very good point on this week's Impact where he said that he's never really been given a shot at a main event spot or at a championship. So I think that Matt Morgan might actually go over on Steen for this one, get himself a spot in the Mafia, and get a serious push going for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, Matt Morgan will be the prototype of the main event Mafia.
Then you've got a
X Division
King of the Mountain match. Thank you. I was brain farting for a second there on the name of the match.
Hello, McFly.
King of the Mountain match for the X Division Championship. And what this really boils down to is it's two tag teams versus one man. You got the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. You've got Lethal Consequences with Black Machismo, Jay Lethal, and Consequences Creed. And then you've got the Mystery Man Suicide. All four of the other men want to find out who Suicide is, take his mask off, reveal his true identity to the world. I think either Suicide is going to retain or look for Consequences Creed to possibly take it, being as how he's never held the X Division Championship before. But if I had to bet actual money on this, I'd have to put money behind Chris Sabin because he is the king of the X Division next to AJ Styles.
I agree with that. I mean, I think it's either going to be Suicide or Consequence. I think Consequence is going to win, and somehow Lethal's going to get mad, and maybe go back to SoCal now.
It's always possible.
True, especially in wrestling. Anything is possible in wrestling, especially SoCal now. But next celebration.
Then for the main event, you've got a second King of the Mountain match. This one for Mick Foley's TNA Heavyweight Championship. Mick Foley, Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and your Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. I gotta go with the sentimental favorite on this one. My boy, Jeff Jarrett. He's not called the King of the Mountain because it's a cool moniker. He's called the King of the Mountain because he dominates in those matchups.
I think Joe is going to win. I think with Taz being his manager, the mystery guy, I think
still don't know if that's who it actually is. That's the heavy rumor is that it's Taz.
99.9%.
But we don't know for sure that that's who it is.
And for all you history buffs out there, Taz was the first man to beat Kurt Angle in the WWE. So Taz hating Kurt Angle like he does, I think he'll interfere and help Joe win the belt.
It's always a possibility. TNA is known for recycling old WWE storylines, especially with Vince Russo being the head writer. So it's a darn good possibility that Taz will interfere, cost Angle the match, and help Joe win.
Yep.
This has been episode 3.5. We'll go over what actually happened at the pay-per-view when we film episode 4 next week. As always, you can submit your questions to myspace.com/TheHardyGuys or go to youtube.com/ user/the Hardy Guys. Submit your questions there. If you want to just ask me a personal question, you can. I've got a couple of questions directed just to me that I will address on episode 4. Likewise, Chris has a couple questions addressed to him that he will be answering on episode 4. So if you guys want to ask a question of both of us or of just one of us, feel free. We are always open to answer your guys' questions.
Yep.
So until next week, I am Sean.
I am Chris.
And we will see you on episode 4.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from NoDQ.com.
Welcome everyone to NoDQ&A here on NoDQ.com. I would like to thank everyone very much for subscribing to the YouTube channel and checking us out on NoDQ.com and wherever else you're watching this. So thanks again for all your support. Let's get right down to the questions here. I just watched Raw and I thought it was a huge disappointment. I like Del Rio a lot more than Cena, but I was still expecting more from Raw this week. What were your thoughts about Raw? What do you think about Del Rio as champion? Okay, first of all, Del Rio is champion. I like Alberto Del Rio. I think that he's a good promo. I think he's good in the ring. I'm not quite sure if he's ready to be World Heavyweight Champion yet, but judging by the LA reaction, the people, when he won that title, the entire arena, I think he got a bigger pop than CM Punk did when he won the title. I mean, the people were really into Del Rio a lot. And it could be because they were in LA and it was the Hispanic market, but you know, Del Rio's really important to WWE from the overseas standpoint, especially Mexico. You know, they really need that major star for that Hispanic demographic. So Del Rio is important to them as world champion. I'm perfectly fine with it. You know, they need to push some new guys. Del Rio's got a lot of talent, so let's see where it goes from here. You know, I'm all for it. As far as the rest of Raw goes, it was a mixed bag for me. I thought it was a pretty good show. The CM Punk Kevin Nash segment was really bizarre. You know, once again, too many inside references. I think, you know, the whole Oz thing is funny, to, you know, to the hardcore fans like us, but to the people watching at home, they have no idea what's going on when CM Punk makes references to Oz and Kevin Nash talking about guaranteed contracts. I mean, I think it's a little too inside, but I mean, I was entertained by it. You know, it was fun. One thing I thought was really interesting was Kevin Nash, I don't know, for whatever reason, he seemed really off during his promo. He, you know, I don't know if it's because he hasn't done it in a long time in front of a large audience like he did on Monday, but it's when CM Punk came out there, he really seemed to outshine Nash on the mic. I thought that was really interesting right there, but you know, unfortunately, it's going to lead to a match most likely, and it's not going to be too good, but the big picture is CM Punk versus Triple H. That's the direction they're heading in, and Kevin Nash is just a little speed bump on the way. So there you go. Next question: do you see a reunion of the Clique, but in a heel capacity, with Triple H, Nash, and maybe X-Pac, as he's in WWE now as a talent scout? You know what? I would not be surprised at all if we see Sean Waltman in some shape or form, you know, being part of this whole storyline here, you know, teasing a Clique reunion. You know, I'm all for it. I like Sean Waltman a lot. He's a really cool guy, so we'll see what happens there. I think it's definitely a possibility that we'll see some sort of Clique reunion, or at least a tease of it. Maybe even tease Shawn Michaels coming back. You know, you never know, but we'll see what happens. Next question. So, is the CM Punk and John Cena feud done now? Seems like it's pointless for them to continue when they were both screwed out of the title. I see them teaming up against Triple H and Nash in some way, and WWE desperately seems to be trying to get Punk's overness to rub on Cena. I don't really think they're trying to get Punk's overness to rub on Cena. They're basically moving in two different directions now. Basically, since before SummerSlam, the plan was for John Cena to feud with Alberto Del Rio and CM Punk to feud with Triple H. That was the direction they're going in. The SummerSlam match was just the last one between CM Punk and John Cena, and then they would go in different directions. I don't really think they're trying to use Punk to get Cena more over. You know, John Cena is who he is. You know, he's not a heel, he's not a babyface, he's just John Cena. So there you go. Why do WWE pay-per-views have a ton of commercials now? Because they're trying to make money? All right. Your thoughts on the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels? I really like Daniels a lot. I used to watch him back in 2000, 2001 here in the SoCal indie scene. He was always a really nice guy and really good performer in the ring. I really feel he never got his fair shake in the wrestling business. Yeah, I mean, he was a really great performer and still is. It's just a shame that he never got that big shot with WWE or even with TNA. You know, I think he could have gotten a main event run in TNA. You know, if they knew how to market him properly, and it's just very unfortunate with him. And hopefully, you know, he's getting older. You know, he's pushing 40 now, and who knows how many years he has left. And I hope he gets something good coming to him, because he's one guy that definitely deserves it. All right, that about does it for No DQ&A. Once again, if you would like to submit questions, go to formspring.me/AaronRift and leave a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe some constructive feedback would be very nice. And we'll see you next time here on No DQ&A.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 3 of the Renegade of Wrestling. I am your host, JJ Williams, here to bring you a little bit of news, a little bit of rumors, and a little bit of highlights of the week of professional wrestling, covering Raw, SmackDown, TNA, and even a little bit of NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. First off on Raw, the new guy that debuted to help CM Punk in the Nexus. Who is this guy? We don't know yet. We'll find out in time, but to me, he looks like Batista's little brother minus the tattoos. Elsewhere on Raw, we announced that virtually half the rosters in the Royal Rumble. We went into that a little bit last week, talking about the 40-man Royal Rumble match. What the hell? I still think it's going to be a clusterfuck disaster, but time will tell whether I'm right or wrong on this one. Over on SmackDown, Nexus Blue or Nexus B, Nexus Wolfpack, whatever it was we wanted to call them prior, we now know that their name is The Core. Wade Barrett, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, and Big Zeke are now known as The Core. What will The Core's mission be? Who is going to be The Core's main target? Time will tell. It looks like right now Teddy Long was their target, but we haven't found that out yet. We don't know if that was actually them. Maybe it was an outsider. Maybe they've got a new member lying in wait, just like this new guy that joined the Nexus over on Raw. Teddy Hart. What's going to happen with Teddy Hart now? Is Vicky Guerrero going to assume control again? Are we going to be subjected to a month of, "Excuse me"? I pray to God not. I pray to God not. I love Vicky Guerrero as a person, as a performer. She's horrendous. Dolph Ziggler going to be going up against Edge at the pay-per-view with this new power possibly being put into Vicky's hands with Teddy being out. What's that going to hold in store for Edge and Dolph? Over in TNA, things got really hot and heated with Jeff Jarrett and Kurt Angle and Karen Angle, Jarrett, whatever. Their whole personal story was going to come bubbling to a head, but then Kurt gets escorted out of the arena. We don't really get too much into detail of the whole backstory there, did we? Kurt gets escorted out of the arena cooperatively. He cooperatively leaves, but he gets taken out only to be let back in. Who let him back in? They are coming for Immortal. They are coming for Fortune. I thought they was Immortal. Who is this new they that's coming for them on February 3rd? A lot of people are speculating that it's the Main Event Mafia and that it could be Samoa Joe that led Kurt Angle back into the building, since Joe's the only person on the active TNA roster right now who was a member of the Mafia. Booker's not there, Steiner's not there, Steen isn't there yet. They could just be kicking it at home, smoking on some stogies and collecting a fat paycheck for all we know, but they have not been seen on TV for quite a few months. NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood featured a colossal women's match featuring Boogie and my Dad's on Wrestling co-host's favorite diva, Lucky O'Shea. Watching that match made me wonder why WWE and TNA can't do these type of things with their women wrestlers. Those of you that can't get KDOC locally, go to NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, look it up in Google, find the link for it. You can watch the episodes online. I highly suggest that you guys start getting caught up on this show, because in time I think it could start to compete with WWE, TNA, and ROH. Sid Vicious. Apparently this week he got pulled over and busted for marijuana possession and not wearing a seatbelt. That's actually what stopped the cop, was that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Sid, what the hell, man? What the hell? You think that you're so big and ripped and roided out that you don't need to wear a seatbelt? Your seatbelt doesn't fit you? Ever since he jumped off the top rope thinking that he was Rey Mysterio and broke his freaking leg, you know, you'd think that would humble a guy, prove that he's not invincible. But again, apparently not. We'll see in time what the results of these repercussions are. I also received my first email this week, a question from Jennifer Delgado. Wanted to know, out of WWE, WCW, ECW, and TNA, which one I thought was the best. And honestly, if I had to just pick one, because there's lots of pros and cons about all those organizations, but if I had to pick one, I think I'd have to go with the original ECW, and I'll tell you why. The original ECW was essentially the little engine that could. There was a little promotion in the bingo hall in Philadelphia that nobody thought was going to catch on, that nobody thought was going to go anywhere, and it turned into a phenomenon. It went from word of mouth to a TV deal, to pay-per-views, to DVDs and VHSs, to being able to tour the United States and go from city to city, playing their craft, if you will, for the fans all around the world that had been supporting this up-and-coming promotion. ECW combined the best in hardcore wrestling and technical wrestling and cruiserweight action. That is what the original ECW was all about. It wasn't all about thumbtacks and barbed wire and staple guns. Stuff was cool, don't get me wrong. That's not what it was all about. It was about the best, period. You had guys like Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, having 2 out of 3 falls matches that ended in a draw, and the crowd still gave them standing ovations. You had matches like RVD versus Jerry Lynn. Pick one of their matches, it doesn't even matter. That were so high-flying, so back and forth, so spectacular that both guys still get talked about those matches to this day by fans. You had Raven versus Tommy Dreamer. You had the Sandman. You had the Human Suplex Machine, Taz. Sabu. You had all these guys come up through there. Rey Mysterio and Psychosis. All these guys come up through that federation. And lest we not forget, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mick Foley. Mick Foley with probably one of the greatest promos I've ever seen, the Kane Dewey promo. If you've never seen this promo, go onto YouTube, look up Kane, C-A-N-E, Dewey, D-E-W-E-Y. That promo was so gut-wrenching and heartfelt that Mick actually stated that he cried afterwards, after he expressed all that emotion. You got to see, like I said, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the genesis, if you will, of what was going to become the beer-swilling, finger-gesturing rattlesnake that we all know and love to this day. The fuck authority figure that he became started in ECW. ECW was where stars were born and legends came to die. Terry Funk came through there, Dusty Rhodes came through there. There have been numbers of people that either got their career or ended their career there. So Jennifer, that would have to be my answer to your question, is the original ECFNW. That's all I've got for this week. Tune in next week when I come to you with episode 4 of the Renegade of Wrestling. I am JJ Williams. I'll see you then.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
What's up, Internet fans? This is episode 3 of Boy Rants. Thank you. And of course, these rants are Boy approved. There you go, Boy approved. We're doing this pretty quickly. A lot of stuff has come up, be it comment-wise and news-wise. So let's just get straight into it. Let me give a couple shout-outs to Raven Puck. You were the first one to give me like a what the fuck that you haven't watched The Dark Knight. I promise I will try and watch it this weekend. I'll have plenty of time to do so. A quick shout-out to AKA Dimes. You're rocking a stash. Good for you, buddy. Send me a picture. In fact, there's actually some show on I think Bravo or History Channel. I don't know the title of it right now, but it's got nothing to do with facial hair. I mean, handlebars, goatees, ZZ Tops, mountain men, people carving American flags in their beards, people carving their initials. I almost watched it, but I have to just go back and find it. Anyway, first rant is from a good buddy, Mick0032. This is your second rant, buddy. You're doing a good job. He wants me to rant on NXT. NXT, I think, is going on a slow decline. Season 1, that Wade Barrett won, and the form of Nexus, good. Good job for them. Unfortunately, Nexus is dead. You know, so they lasted, I want to say 2 years. I'm not totally sure. Year and a half, 2 years. Nexus was cool. I didn't like... Okay, yes I did. I did like them beating up Cena because, let's face it, Cena needed to get his butt kicked a couple times during the year. You know, and then, 7-on-1, 7-on-7, who's going to take out the Nexus? And unfortunately the Nexus went, and then Punk coming in, more power, the new Nexus, even though it was only 4 of them. And, Otunga and McGillicuddy getting the belts, that was good. But Cena and Mr. Jennifer Hudson. Him again? Same guy?
Yeah.
Wow. Stat Boy's losing his touch on this one. That was a joke. So, thank you. I deserve that one. Season 2 coming in with Kaval, but we all know him as Low Key. That whole Kaval thing, the name was good. He was great, but pairing him up with Laycool, that was career suicide. I'm sorry. Honestly, he should have stayed in TNA, where he didn't, like I said in episode 2, he didn't talk very much. He came and literally kicked your head off and then left. I mean, his only big storyline was with for the U.S. title, and he wasted that. It's like, you don't know what you're doing with these guys. By the time season 3 came around and it got reduced to the internet and Caitlyn won, who are you again? You're a diva. Who are you? I don't even know who you are, Caitlyn. Do you still have a job? What? You had that thing with Vicky Guerrero, I believe? I mean, okay, that's good. Vicky's a cougar and all that, but what are you doing now? Nothing. And now this Johnny Curtis guy for season 4, who's like, I've got a chip on my shoulder. There's an elephant in my closet. I don't step on a crack. Can I take a nap during a Johnny Curtis promo and then wake up when SmackDown's over? Because, I mean, who are you? I mean, really. I mean, if there's going to be a season 5, they better get some people... Thank you. Well said. They better get some good people or get rid of it altogether or bring back another season of Tough Enough. Much better with Tough Enough. Andy needs to come out of FCW. Unfortunately, he got a drug suspension, so let's work past that. Bring Andy in, and let's see where we go with that. Anime fan, thank you for clarifying. You wanted me to, your rant was about the Asian talent. Okay, as far as the Asian talent, like I say, WWE doesn't know what to do with them. I mean, I think it all started, I have to go back to the Attitude Era with Taka Michinoku. He came in, got a little light heavyweight run, started up with Kaientai, and then the last thing we see of him is him flying over the Rumble and onto the floor, and he bounces a few inches, and then we never see him again. Funaki...
Broke his shoulder, dude. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay, fine. You know, Funaki, of course, I am #1 SmackDown announcer. He got a nice little run. He got the Cruiserweight belt. But then he faded away. Also, Mr. Fuji was turned into a joke. If you remember the whole Val Venus incident back in the late 90s, early 2000s with Yamaguchi-san. Where's she been? Who knows there? And honestly, you know, sleeping with another man's wife was taboo back then, but now it's Jerry Springer style. Jimmy Wang Yang on SmackDown, an Asian cowboy? Really? The only thing I liked about him was his cool cowboy hat, and he comes out singing a song, I'm an Asian cowboy, really, Jimmy? Come on. You know, and now, where's Yoshitatsu? Every time I see him, I'm very shocked that he hasn't been let go. You know, I mean, he's got this cool little techno Japanese music. That's cool. That gets the crowd going a little bit, and then you realize, who is he again? You know, and of course, the thing with Japan and wrestling is if you ever go to Japan, they respect wrestling so much that they watch their shows in silence. That's how much they care. I once saw that. I'm going, what? Why isn't the crowd getting in this? And it's like, someone tells me, that's respect. So the Japanese culture is full of respect and all that. But, you know, like I say, WWE Talent Team does not know how to use Asian people at all. So don't be surprised if Yoshitatsu's on the future endeavor lists. JTK 316. This is your second rant. But with Super Shows versus Raw and SmackDown. It's good to see them cross over, like Randy does. He did it on Raw, and then the Cena on SmackDown. That's good. That keeps the storyline going, but space them out. Don't do them every week. Maybe every 2 months do a Super Show. Maybe even 3 months do a Super Show. But don't shove it down our throat. No way, because then, you know, the wrestlers are going to get tired, and then they're going to do the storyline of they're injured, they need surgery, there's a drug suspension. When in all fairness, they just want time off because they're dead. Part 2 of your rant, you want me to rant on Matt Hardy and all his attention-getting, committing suicide videos. Yeah, really. Like I say, either he's craving attention, he's trying to scare us, or he took out he got some good drugs that I don't know about, because, you know, I, honest to God, thought he was going to kill himself. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, oh my God, Matt's going to kill us? Matt's going to die? You know? And then, breaking news, let's go from one brother to the other. Jeff pled guilty for possession, intent to sell, and his sentence is 2.5 years of probation, drug rehab, and 10 days in jail. Thank you. Honestly, I think the jail sentence and the probation should be switched. Jeff, you screwed up. You admitted it. More points. But just because you're a celebrity, just because you're a sports star or a sports entertainer, you gotta be treated the same. Look at like me. What if by some stupid miracle I get caught with drugs? Do I expect a lenient sentence? Hell no. Throw my ass in jail and let me think about what I've done. So, and hopefully, Jeff Hardy, personal statement here, I hope you learn from it and maybe do like an anti-drug thing for the kids, because there are some people that still look up to you for something. So don't screw this up. Learn from it, come back, and honestly take Matt with you into rehab, because he is really creeping us out. Now, let's go into some UFC news. A lot of stuff is happening in UFC as well. Quick plugs out to them. September 24th is UFC 135. Rampage. Quinton Rampage Jackson. You know, the one with the chain, and he comes out and howls. He's got a title shot against John Bones Jones. I would love to see Rampage get the title back. If it's one last run for Rampage, good for him. In the co-main event, Matt Hughes goes up against our favorite UFC superstar, Josh Koscheck. Ooh, goes the crowd. Leave Koscheck alone. He's a good fighter. He's a good person. Just because he screwed up on The Ultimate Fighter, it does not mean anything. No laughing on that one. No laughing, Joker boy. Oh, excuse you, got the hiccups. October 8th is 136, Edgar versus Maynard 3. That's going to be a war. And then the big news is coming from UFC 137 on October 29th. Originally, the fight was supposed to be George Rush St. Pierre against Nick Diaz. But Nick Diaz decided to flake out for all the promotional stuff. So Dana White decides, you don't get a title shot anymore. Now, Mr. Carlos Conduit gets the title shot. Good for him. And as a bit of a punishment, Nate Diaz now has to fight BJ Penn. BJ, put a hurting on this guy and teach him a lesson. If you want to even, this is something like back in the day, if you screwed up in wrestling, you got to fight Gene LaBelle, and he put a hurting on you. So I'm hoping BJ, teaches Mr. Nate Diaz a lesson. Also, Brock Lesnar is back. He got over his case of, I'm going to say it right, diverculitis. If you don't know what it is, it's a problem with your colon, which is right above your waist area. So, good for him. He's back. He's healthy. He is fighting Alistair Overeem, who is a former Strikeforce champion. The fight is scheduled for December. It'll be UFC 141. I have no idea who this guy is, so I guess I'm rooting for Brock. And finally, I have joined Twitter. Here's I am hashtags. Thank you. If you want me on Twitter, I'll put all the UFC news, NFL news, WWE news. I'm LBStatKid, LBSTATKIDD, all lowercase letters, 1977. LBStatKid 1977, Twitter. So, that's all for this episode. A lot of stuff is coming up. I'm going to plug everybody. We have a new episode of Ringside Insanity. Kudos to Jeff and Jade for getting your first episode up. Got to give a shout out to my boy, the Renegade, who is 26 episodes strong. And he's going to keep going forever. The Renegade will never die unless you're in WCW. Oh, too soon? Too soon? Haven't seen anything Double A from Double Down with Double A. Where are you, Double A? Come on, Double A. I want to see another episode. Oh, wait. You can't see me. Yes, I'm marked out. And after the bell, I hope you're still watching the Jarrett Matthew and Nick Madrid interviews. Those are still two good interviews. I'm not sure about the goal yet, but we're getting close. I think we're getting close. I want to see them good. Coming up this week, we got another Mach 1. We might be doing an interview. I don't know. We got NWA on September 11th at the Regent Showcase Theater. It's on September 11th. Say thank you to the Patriots, and then go watch NWA. And Night of Champions is coming up in 2 weeks. A lot of stuff coming up. Like I say, hashtag me, LBStatKid1977 at Twitter. I'm going to confirm it in a few minutes, and it'll be up. As far as this, Statboy is out.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
Back to episode 3 of Dad's on Wrestling. I, of course, am your co-host, JJ Williams, the Renegade of Wrestling.
I am your alternate co-host, if you will, Mr. Talk Wrestling. No DQ plug this week because I just don't feel like it.
Sorry,
Jeff Meacham,
Aaron.
sorry, Aaron. Sorry, Aaron Riff, but
Well,
big shout out to the other
yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
A-double, A-dub, whatever you want to call him this
Double
week.
A. Not
Double
to be
A.
confused with
Arn
Austin
An-
Aries.
or Arn
A
Anderson.
double. Yeah,
or Arn Anderson,
Arn
double
Anderson.
A. Although
This is the new Double A.
I will give Arn Anderson a shout out because Arn Anderson's a fucking man. I just got to say that out there. And
2011 Hall of Fame.
along with Owen.
Please, Martha.
Martha Hart, if you're watching. Yeah, right.
Like she's going to watch something that has to do with wrestling, Jeff.
Hey, I'm
Let's
on the
be
show.
real.
It's my show. You never know.
You know what? You know what? Martha Hart watching something that has to do with wrestling is about as likely as Brett and Sean giving a hug. Wait a minute. Never mind. That happened. That happened. Sorry. That was going to be a cold day in hell. But
Was that live or was that Memorex or was that a weird episode of Dallas or something? Does anybody else remember Dallas? Anybody watching this show remember Dallas? I highly doubt it. God,
Dallas Stars?
No.
Formerly the Minnesota North Stars?
That's right. Where Gordon Bombay was a minor league player of.
That's
Tie into the Mighty Ducks.
Mr.
There you go.
Ducksworth, quack, quack, quack.
Actually, this is a old school Kings jersey throwback to 1988, which coincides with our topic today.
Yes, but really quickly, the main reason we're doing this is to show your son Dylan that rival teams can coexist as one. His uncle JJ is a Ducks fan.
That's right.
His daddy is a tried and true Kings fan. Sir?
Yes, absolutely. Now,
rival fans can coexist, okay?
And now,
on
the topic at hand. The Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Just
My
around
favorite
the corner.
pay-per-view.
JJ's favorite pay-per-view. Jade's favorite at one point. She goes back for WrestleMania and the Rumble because the Rumble's just so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen during that match.
Which is what I love about it. In
Right.
my opinion, the Royal Rumble is the least scripted match of the entire year.
Which is funny because I've heard through various people that have been in the Rumble that it's one of the most.
Really?
Like, you know.
Don't kill my buzz, okay?
I know,
Stop
I'm
telling
sorry.
me that Santa Claus isn't real.
What?
Okay?
Ouch.
Stop telling me that, okay? My grand illusion is that, aside from, obviously, the order of people coming in are obviously scripted,
and the general
order of elimination,
right.
not as much. It's kind of like they say, okay, you guys, go out there, Jeff Meacham, you're winning the Rumble, you other 29 guys, get eliminated when you want to get eliminated.
Clusterfuck it.
Hence, my belief that it's the least scripted.
Yeah, there are a few spots like.
Kill my blood.
I'm sorry, like, well, okay, let me give you Drew Carey's entry into the Rumble in 2001.
Which is one of my memories, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, you know, and Kane's whole thing in there. Kane's 700 or 800 eliminations in a row that year, you know.
Okay.
Come on.
Good point. Obviously, there's little nuances about it that are scripted, but for the most
Generally
part,
speaking, it is a clusterfuck.
I'd like to believe it's the least scripted. Now, back to the memories.
Now,
Rumble, correct me if I'm wrong, began in 88?
88, the same year the Kings debuted this jersey, as a matter of fact, under with the man himself, Wayne Gretzky.
Now, I didn't become a wrestling fan until late 98, so the 98 Rumble is my first memory, but I'm going to let Jeff talk for about, I'm going to have to keep a restraint
hopefully
on
a
him.
few seconds, because it'll go quick, I promise.
Go through 88 to 97 briefly with some Rumble memories.
I'll do the best I can. I didn't start watching 1990, so the 88 through the 90 Rumbles are pretty much what I've seen on tape. Hogan domination. You know, Big John Studd winning in '89, Hacksaw winning the first one, which was on USA Network and got a higher rating, like overall rating than the NWA Jim Crockett pay-per-view that same day.
Wow.
And yeah, they were going back and forth for a number of years, and the Crockett's finally got in WrestleMania 4. They put on the Clash. That's when they beat Vince, and the cable companies went, "You can't do that. You can't on a pay-per-view." And it's like, and Crockett's like, "They did it to me for 6 months. What are you doing here?"
Called payback is a bitch, Vince. I'm sorry.
It is. It's brutal. So, but then again, they did Starrcade Survivor Series '87, and Survivor Series just blew them out of the water, and Crockett went bankrupt. So you know, Crockett's like, yeah. Anyway. So '88, Hacksaw won, 20-man rumble, not a 30 till next year. '89, Big John Studd came in late at 27, which is the trend for a while was number 27 won more often than not.
Yeah.
So Big John Studd started that trend in '89. Hogan won 2 years in a row, 90, 91. 91 led him into, actually 91. If you look back, technically '93 was the first Rumble that the winner got the shot. It was Yokozuna.
I was just going to ask, when was the first year where they implemented the title shot?
'93. But if you go back, they accidentally did it 2 years before that because Hogan won the '91 Rumble, and of course they plugged him in against Sergeant Slaughter because who else could beat the Iraqi turncoat but the real American hero? And the '92, of course, the best Rumble ever.
IYO.
In my opinion, and of course this is partly my opinion, Joe. Talk wrestling is my opinion. I go off on this Rumble all the time.
Yes.
Ric Flair winning the championship, the commentary of Gorilla and Bobby. Oh my God, exactly. And that match was so good on commentary alone that they put that Rumble match on Bobby's DVD that came out recently.
Really?
Yes. That whole
match.
match.
I know the match is on Flair's first DVD also.
Yeah, the first Flair compilation.
Because he came in on 3, right? Came in number 3. The 60-minute man. Woo! Went all the way. He was the first guy to go from that far. Of course, Shawn Michaels did him in 3 years later at number 1. But that was a shorter Rumble. Yes,
it was every 60 seconds, not every 90 seconds, whatever it was. They changed it so many times throughout the 90s.
I wish they would just keep it at every 2 minutes.
It is.
I think anything less than 2 minutes doesn't really give an opportunity for interaction before you throw somebody else out there.
Right. And anything more just like, oh my God, where's the next guy?
Yeah.
You know. So, but '92 was awesome and it was great. And like I said, Bobby told me when I interviewed him, he'd never seen that match.
Really?
He'd never seen it. The whole time he'd been since '92. I interviewed him in 2004. Okay. So sometime between now and then.
XMV, right?
XM, the old audio show, Extreme Mayhem. Not XM Satellite. Don't sue me again, please.
Yeah.
Extreme Mayhem Audio.
Okay, so before XMV.
Before XMV, we had him on twice. He was our guest of the year. I gave him a plaque. It was awesome. He signed my books. It was cool. But he told me he'd never seen that match. So apparently between now and then, he's seen the match because it was on his DVD, and he had
very nice.
He had say in
Very
that.
nice.
So I'm glad he got to see it. It was cool. '94, the Luger Brett fiasco.
Yeah.
The first time they had two guys over at the same time, but I found out later that was a mistake.
Really?
Yes, I found out that was a mistake.
This is why he's on the show, folks.
I did.
He is the historian.
Yeah.
Anything that I lack in knowledge, he makes up.
Yeah, the whole Cena Batista thing you're going to talk about in a few minutes, I'm sure, was totally planned, except for the fact that Vince tore squats. Both of them in the span of 2 minutes. I'm sorry I took your thunder for the joke, but I had to do it.
Greatest shoot moment in wrestling.
Oh, God. Besides Kevin Nash's quad tear that Aaron talked about earlier in the day.
Vince is even
Vince is worse.
Vince is better because he's not really a wrestler.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash is a trained professional.
Yeah.
Vince, not as much.
Yeah, well, most of the time. Anyway, Luger and Brett go over, and why is Luger winning the Rumble after he got his last shot in '93 SummerSlam? You should never get a shot again. Cornette had a spaz, and it was awesome. So they did the whole compromise. Brett has a match earlier in the night.
Let's not get into the whole Luger thing anyway. I know I despise him as much as you do. So
yeah, I mean, sorry Lex, but you suck.
Leave him be.
'95, Shawn Michaels goes the distance with the British Bulldog. Both of them went the distance. They went 1 and 2 and ended up at the end. The great finish with Michaels holding on by 1 foot. The whole thing.
Yes.
That was the first year. That was the Shawn Michaels rule invention right there.
Yes.
Only one of Shawn Michaels' feet hit the floor. '96, he came back after the concussion and the attack in Syracuse and won it again. Super kicking Diesel out to end the Rumble. '97, the great controversy. The last one I'm going to talk about before you jump in. '97.
I briefly remember that.
Brett eliminates Austin. He thinks all is in the clear. Everybody's eliminated. Brett throws the last two over, and then all of a sudden, here comes Stone Cold, boom, over the top rope.
Because the referees hadn't seen him, correct?
Exactly. The referees were distracted with, I believe, don't quote me, Terry Funk and somebody else, probably Bob Backlund, because he was as crazy as Terry Funk was.
Still is.
Yes, Bob Backlund's not going to flex.
Remember, we don't have to censor here. It's fucking nuts.
I know, but I like saying nothing.
Okay, whatever.
I think it's fun.
I'm just trying to deprogram you from your other programming.
I'm not deprogramming.
Okay.
I just like saying it. It's fun.
Okay.
So he's distracted. So Austin wins the Rumble. That was the further evolution of Brett's final lead-in toward snapping his last twig and going heel at WrestleMania.
Which was awesome.
Which was a great
Well,
program.
we'll get into that on our WrestleMania Memories show.
98, baby.
98. The one thing I remember the most about this Rumble, since I had to watch it on videotape, see, I hadn't quite become a fan yet, but the standout thing from all the times I watched it was Mick Foley competing as all three gimmicks in the Royal Rumble.
Cactus Dude.
Comedy to me.
Yeah, it's great.
Comedy. I remember sitting there the first time watching this, and I'm like, okay, Cactus Jack is number 1. Okay, cool. He's fighting Terry Funk.
Terry's number 2, which is great.
Awesomeness. You know, Cactus and Chainsaw. They have their match. Cactus gets eliminated. Comes back like around, I want to say about 12.
12 or 13.
As Mankind. Comes in, has his little brawl. I think he even eliminated Terry.
Probably.
I could be wrong on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either.
Mankind gets eliminated. Comes back around 20-something as Dude.
And makes it to the final 4.
Awesomeness. And Dude is the worst gimmick he had.
So awful.
Seriously, it's like, I could have understood it if Mankind or Cactus had made it to the final 4.
Dude, yeah.
Dude should have been number 1.
Even Mick hated Dude Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was his gimmick from like the 80s.
Yeah.
That was his backyard gimmick.
From his pre-career days.
You can't talk about backyard.
Take out backyard. Can't talk about
It's 2 B words you can't talk about in wrestling. Backyard and bedroom.
that.
We're going to do both of them in this one show. That was the first one.
We are off the air, dude. We are off the air. It's over.
No, I'm sorry.
3 shows in and we're done. You failure. God damn it. All right. Anyway.
The 99 Rumble. Honestly, the Rumble match itself doesn't stick that much to me. The I Quit match is what stands out in my mind.
That's true.
Because of like the 1,700 chair shots that Foley took.
Yes.
There's only like 13 really, but it seemed like more when you're sitting there watching it.
And
The Rock just went ape shit on Foley.
And then watching Beyond the Mat later in the year and watching his family react, it was like, ooh.
That tugged at my heartstrings, especially now as a father.
Especially now we have kids, God.
As a father, even before that, I watched and I was like, oh man, how could you subject your kids to it? But he didn't know it was going to be that many.
No.
He couldn't have known.
It was scheduled for 6.
Yeah.
It went 18.
Then it went to like, was it 18? I thought it was 13.
Pretty sure it was 18 in the book. Again, don't quote me.
2000, the debut of Taz. Again, it's not really the Rumble match that stands out for me. It's Taz's debut, ending Kurt Angle's undefeated streak.
Unofficially.
Via controversy.
That's right.
Kurt Angle then had said he was never pinned in a match.
Well, it wasn't that. He said he was never defeated because Taz choked him out.
Yes.
So in February, The Rock said, fine, I'll rock bottom and pin your ass.
2001.
But before you move on to 2000, Too Cool Rikishi.
Yes.
Dancing mid-rumble, and then Rikishi goes, yeah, all right, fine. And throws him out, and he goes, sorry, guys.
Awesome.
Every man for
Rikishi
himself.
was about to own Grandmaster Sexay until Scotty 2 Hotty came out and was like, wait a minute.
Glasses,
We're friends. Let's dance.
And
they did their whole little thing until Rikishi was just like, it's every man for himself.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
2001.
Drew Carey mentioned that.
Drew Carey, Kane's dominance.
Yeah.
And Austin.
My good
bloody
buddy
and all.
My good buddy Mike Caldwell, as we used to call him on a Hardy Conversation, Stat Boy, actually made it to the front row on Price is Right with Drew Carey, and during commercial break he asked him about his Royal Rumble because it was right around Rumble season when he made it on the show.
No
and
way.
He was like, hey Drew, any thoughts of coming back to Royal Rumble or WrestleMania? And Drew kind of like laughed it off like he was embarrassed by it. It's like, Drew, if you're embarrassed, why'd you do it?
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously.
Well,
you wanted to promote your Whose Line Is It Anyway pay-per-view,
whatever
which
it
failed.
was, which was on the Saturday after that, and tanked.
You know,
Yeah.
but if you're embarrassed by it, why'd you do it? 2002.
Hunter.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Hunter's comeback was a great story of the Rumble.
Okay.
What stands out in my mind was Maven.
Oh, yeah.
Maven's drop kick of doom.
That's only because your friend had a spaz when it happened. Come
eliminating
on.
the Undertaker over the top rope, and then Undertaker's subsequent beatdown of Maven.
It's true.
Awesomeness. Plus, it was the Hardy Boys reunion.
Yeah,
They
and
had just been feuding. They had just been feuding at December 01 Armageddon. Vengeance, whatever. They flipped the pay-per-view title so many times.
Especially during that.
Judgment Day, Armageddon, Vengeance, it all sounds the same.
Armageddon wasn't 01 because Armageddon happened just after 9/11. So
That's true. That's true.
That would have been very good
Armageddon.
PC.
That's true. They didn't want an Armageddon, but okay. Vengeance. They had just feuded, just had their horrible match, and then kept them off of TV for a while. Brought them back out at the Royal Rumble. As a diehard Hardy fan, marked out to see them come out, embrace, start eliminating people together. Very cool moment.
Yep. We're getting the. Oh, well, I was gonna say we're getting the wrap up.
Yeah, we're starting to get there, but I think we can tear through this really quick.
Okay, go for it.
03, Brock Lesnar,
Dominance.
and Mr. Perfect's return.
No, Mr. Perfect was 02.
Was it? Oh, my bad.
It happens.
Oh, that's what it was. It was Cena and Lesnar's Rumble debut. That's what I have marked
That's
down.
what that was. That's right.
Okay.
04, of course,
Benoit.
the story, 60-minute match.
Chris Benoit. Hall of Fame, 2011. Make it happen. There's that 4 again. 2005, Batista and Cena.
Yes, and Vince turned his
Batista
quad.
and Cena and Vince turned his quad. Legit. Funniest thing ever.
YouTube that shit.
06. Mysterio coming from number 2. The Ultimate I know you don't like Mysterio much. I'm not a fan.
It's not that I like Mysterio. I don't like why. Coming
from number 2 to winning. Ultimate Underdog story.
But the Rumble, he came out in the Eddie thing and did...
07, ECW's Rumble debut.
That's right.
First time ECW ever had participation.
But who won that Rumble?
Taker.
The Undertaker.
First person from number 30, which was killed the next year when John Cena did it from number 30.
Which was just fail.
It was horrible. 09, Randy Orton winning, and then last year, Beth Phoenix, second woman, and Edge.
And Edge winning it off the Achilles tendon surgery.
Yes.
That was awesome.
We're getting the wrap up.
Holy crap, dude. That was awesome.
We're getting the wrap up, so we got to cut. I'm the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams.
I'm Mr. TW, Jeff Meacham.